Everybody, it's Jason Creel and this is the Lawn Care Life. Today I'm going to do a side-by-side comparison, edging with a string trimmer or weed eater, weed whacker, whatever you call it, versus a stick edger. And we're going to talk about the differences, but I want you to see the difference, and I want to kind of race against myself, I guess you'd say. I'm going to do one side of the driveway with the string trimmer and the other side with the edger, and then we can look at the results and see which is better in this situation. Is it comparing the quality of the work, the time that it takes, and things like that. So here we go. I'm gonna give it a shot and then we'll talk about it, and I'd like to hear your guys' thoughts in the comments on which you prefer to use, an edger versus a string trimmer, and I'm gonna give you my thoughts at the end on pros and cons of each. Let's get started with that right now. All right, we got steel products today. I think these are both kind of a homeowner edition trimmer and edger. They got plenty of power for what we're doing in the video. Off with the stick edger. Okay there, so I had a little rough go there in a couple spots. I think a couple reasons. One, this is the first time I've edged this yard all year, and what happens sometimes, especially in this situation where possibly vehicles have driven over the edge of the sidewalk, and the sidewalk just being, or driveway I should have said, but being older, it's not a clean edge always. So when you got some grass growing over like that, sometimes you may have saw me do this where I would seem like it kind of missed the spot, and I would just pull it backwards to be able to go back over that spot. But anyway, once you do it multiple times, you kind of establish the edge. The first time of the year is a little bit rougher go, but I think we clean that up and blow it off, it'd be a decent looking edge. May do that at the end. So let me get the string trimmer out and see how that goes, and we'll compare the two and talk about it. All right, so now we go to the string trimmer, and I've showed this before in other videos, but the way I like to do it, some people like to turn it up here and use their finger for the gas. The way I do it, if I'm using it like this, I just flip it upside down, adjust my hand on the handle. My hand will come over to the side of the handle, and I'll use my thumb to use the trigger. And I'll say some trimmers work better upside down than others. It's probably not ideal to run a trimmer upside down, but some of them function better, and we'll see how this one does. So I like a little bit longer line when I'm doing this, and the idea is you're not trying to, the line's short right now, I'm gonna make it longer, but you don't have to. You're not trying to dig it down deep, in my opinion. You just want the tip of the line to cut the grass there. So let's get it cranked up and do the other side of the driveway. the job I did. Alright, so let's take a look at the work and then we'll talk about it and the pros and cons. This first, the side with the edger. You can see there, it's pretty clean edge. This grass, it's like might have missed a spot right there. But you know, the grass not being edged all the year makes a little bit of a difference. I'm not making an excuse. I just, you know, if it was a customer's lawn and it wasn't, then it may have went over it twice, or you know, if you miss a spot you can go back and touch it up. But you look down there, that's a fairly decent edge. That's nothing to be totally ashamed about, and the grass has not been cut. So when you run up with a lawnmower, you can see down here it's like this centipede grass was growing out under the driveway, and the dirt is real compacted or whatever. Anyway, it was actually cut. I just didn't do a good job blowing it off. There's another piece there that looks like I missed. So you can see where the driveway's kind of broken up. It's not a perfectly clean edge, but overall not bad. And yeah, once you get it established, it's easy to maintain. Now on the string trimmer, again, it's you know, I'm not ashamed of the quality there. I was a little bit slower. Some of that I'm just rusty. I hadn't been doing this as much. I do a lot of weed control and fertilization, so I don't practice with my string trimmer as much. But I can see there's a little bit sticking out that I missed. You know, that would have took a little bit more to get that. And the idea with the string trimmer, sorry about the shadow, is to get it as close to 90-degree vertical as you can, at least in my mind. So anyway, you can see. So let me give you my thoughts just on string trimmer versus edger. And I know it really comes down to personal preference in me, but there are some benefits to one. If you got a string trimmer and you know how to do it, even if you like using an edger on driveways and sidewalks, it's still not a bad skill to develop, because when you get around flower beds or something like that, or even a tree ring that doesn't have a border around it, maybe has some mulch or pine straw, something like that, you can edge it by just flipping your trimmer upside down. And that's not something we typically would do with a stick edger, though I think I've seen people do it. So you know, but the edger is easier to get the hang of. The stick edger, there's not a lot of practice with that. You just have to basically keep it up against the sidewalk and walk in a straight line. and it pretty much develops a clean edge. Now, yeah, you know, so if you got somebody that's new and you're trying to give them some kind of basic skill, maybe on your crew, they can start off edging and blowing and maybe get better at the other stuff later on. While I was a little bit faster with the stick edger, I think as you get more practice with the string trimmer and you get more experience with it, the speed is not really that big of a difference. I've seen some people that are pretty quick with a string trimmer. The quality of the work is not a huge difference either, in my opinion, though, you know, it does take more skill. If you got somebody that doesn't know what they're doing with a string trimmer, then you can get some real disappointing results, for lack of a better term. But you know, with the edger, you're probably going to at least get an 8 out of 10 on your results with a stick edger. With a string trimmer, you can get really low quality. The only time the stick edger might get you is if you know, I've done this before, where you hit like a invisible fence for a pet or something, you cut the wire, which is pretty disappointing. You have to pay for that repair. But really, it's personal preference. If you got the string trimmer, you know how to use it. It could, you know, if you want to use it all the time, it can cut down on having one more piece of equipment on the trailer. But for me, you know, I typically like using the edger if it's a decent amount of edging. If it's just real small amount, then I'll probably just stick with the string trimmer. If you're already using it, you don't have to go back and put it on the trailer and grab a different piece of equipment and crank it up and use it. So that saves you some time doing that, even if you maybe lose some time by going slightly slower using it. But that's just my thoughts. You can make it look good either way. I know some people tell me it's not edging unless you use an edger. I'd probably disagree with that. Let me hear from you guys. What do you think? What's your opinion? Do you use a stick edger most of the time? Do you use a string trimmer most of the time? Do you use a guard, no guard? You notice I didn't have a guard on there. That's my preference. I feel like I can see a little bit better. I feel like it allows me to have a little bit longer string on the string trimmer. I do have my ear plugs and eye protection on, which is obviously important for keeping you safe, especially when you're much more likely to cause some damage. Another thing, when you're using a string trimmer, you want to pay attention to which way the head's turning. I noticed at some point I was walking backwards, which I don't think is ideal. The one reason I was doing that was to keep the debris from throwing toward the house, and I turned around backwards to throw it away from the house. You can also stand on the grass side or on the sidewalk side. To me, it's a little bit easier to see what you're doing if you're on the sidewalk side or the driveway side, but you can also do it on the grass side as well. Let me hear from you in the comments. I'm Jason Creel. Appreciate you watching the video. If you hadn't done so, I'd encourage you to subscribe to the channel. And there's some resources available for you if you're in the lawn care business at lawncarelife.com. I'll talk to you guys later. Bye.